York's classic rock, Q1043.
I welcome New York City Human Resources Administration Executive Deputy Commissioner Marjorie Cadogan. How are you doing during the pandemic? That's the first thing. How are you holding up?
Well, that's always everyone's first question. How are you? I'm good. I'm good. This is a very challenging time for so many New Yorkers, a challenging time in government, but full of opportunities, and particularly opportunities in the area in which I work. Health insurance is so important, particularly now that people need medical care. They need to be able to get their testing. They need to be able to get their vaccines. So we're happy to serve.
Well, that's the first thing, is the vaccine. I mean, this is just the most frustrating thing, that there is a vaccine, but people can't get it. There isn't enough supply. And the latest that we heard from President Biden is that he is hoping to have everyone vaccinated by the end of summer. But here in New York, I mean, we were supposed to roll out the Yankee Stadium. We were supposed to roll out the Citi Field, the Empire Outlets. And people are worried that got the vaccine that they can't get the second vaccine on time. So what's your view here?
Well, this is not, my core area, but I have to say that this is a time of patience. And I know people don't want to hear that word. We've been sitting at home with restricted activities, teaching our kids, all of this stuff. It's been a brave new world for us. But help is on the way. I really believe that. I believe that our governor and our mayor are doing the best, have a coordinated effort, and we have an administration that is focused on job one, which is stemming the tide of this epidemic. So it's going to take time. This is one of the largest vaccination efforts of our history. And I really think that the federal administration is trying to get all their ducks in a row and their resources together to be able to ensure a stable flow of vaccinations to us. It's going to take time. Patience is the word. But I'm so excited to see how many people are really revved up and ready to get vaccinated. I think that's a wonderful thing.
So your big push right now with the New York City Human Resources Administration, at least from your point of view, is getting health insurance for small businesses. Now, small business in New York City already is so challenged with business during a pandemic. And here you are trying to get them to provide health insurance. So how do you do this in this kind of climate?
Indeed. I think that the way that you do it is really understanding what people need. There are a tremendous amount of needs across small businesses. We know that the basic sustaining of the business is job one for many business owners, but job two then is making sure that their employees are healthy, productive, and active. And one way to do that is to provide health insurance when you can, or at the very least, provide information for your employees on how they can get access to health insurance and access to good care. And that's where we come in. We really want to give business owners, entrepreneurs, those who are even thinking about starting a business, and many people now, unfortunately, have been furloughed and laid off, and they're dusting off an idea that they had in their youth or sometime earlier ago. Well, maybe I'll venture out and start my own business. But one of the things that you need to protect yourself, both physically, medically, and financially, is your ability to have coverage to take care of the health needs that you have. So we try to provide information for folks so that they can make good decisions, they can know what's available, and they can find good care when they need it.
So how do you do this? How do you reach out to them?
We do that in a number of ways. And we're grateful, Shelley, for this opportunity to broadcast to a broader audience in that way. But we have a website, and we are very much in a virtual age right now. So our website, nyc.gov HILINK is a compendium of information for New Yorkers at large and for small business owners on health insurance. And we talk about health insurance. We're fortunate in New York State to have a marketplace that was created by virtue of the Affordable Care Act. It's called the New York State of Health, and both small business owners for their business and entrepreneurs and sole proprietors can get health insurance in that marketplace. So we really try to provide information about health insurance, how to get it, how to use it, how to choose it, um, and to be able to make good decisions. We have fact sheets that small business owners can read that make things a little bit more accessible. And we're happy to do even presentations. We have been on Zoom pretty regularly every week with the Department of Small Business Services and their small business curriculums, educating small business owners on what's available.
If you had to describe the overall job of the Human Resources Administration for New York City, what is the overall job, the goal, and what
Okay.
you're trying to do?
Well, our office, the Office of Citywide Health Insurance Access, is a small office in a very large agency. The Human Resources Administration is an agency of 14,000 employees, and our job is really to work to address income inequality for New Yorkers. We are the agency that provides a host of benefits to low-income New Yorkers and benefits that are so valuable and needed right now: the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps, cash assistance on a elongated or an emergency basis for things like helping you pay utility bills that you've had issues with. We also provide services that New Yorkers need and sometimes don't know that we provide: municipal ID card, ID NYC, that helps you get into the library, that helps you have a government issued ID when you may not be able to get it any other way, and helps you get discounts on certain kinds of services and benefits. We provide assistance with child support. We do a host of things. And the other thing we do is educate New Yorkers about health insurance. So we're really trying to help low income and New Yorkers who are challenged at this time get the benefits they really need and deserve.
Is there, I mean, they can always call 311 to get connected, right? Is that the best way?
Well, they can, but the other way that they can get connected, and I thank you for that question, we have done a lot of work in our agency to operate in the virtual sphere and to be accessible via the web and via apps to New Yorkers. So there is a website, nyc.gov access HRA, that allows New Yorkers to get information about and apply for some of the benefits that I talked about. You can
Got
SNAP,
you.
so you can apply for SNAP completely online. You don't have to come to any of our offices. And in fact, most of our offices, because of the pandemic, are closed. So it's fortunate that you can get on your computer, type in nyc.gov access HRA, apply for SNAP totally, and be able to get information, notices, check your EBT card, all from your home on your computer, or also through our app that's available on Google Play and the App Store.
Speaking of SNAP, what are the current guidelines and what is President Biden talking about in terms of expansion? Because I know he had a big plan to expand it and increase it, but I didn't hear specific numbers.
Well, I have only some preliminary information, and I'm sure that the State Department of Temporary Disability Assistance will be conveying to us at the local district level and city level what that will mean for New Yorkers. But my understanding is that the president has expanded budgets for SNAP allowances. That has to come down through the states to the counties. So it will take some time, but there certainly will be word on the street very soon about that, what that means concretely in terms of dollars for New Yorkers who are eligible for SNAP.
Are undocumented New Yorkers eligible for SNAP?
Um, I don't believe undocumented New Yorkers are eligible to apply for SNAP. You have to verify your immigration status for SNAP. Saying that, however, there is a host of resources that the city has made available to make food readily available for New Yorkers in need. And that information you can find on a website known as Access NYC. So that's NYC. Let me just check that and make sure I
Okay.
give you the right website address, but that is nyc.gov, Access NYC. Um, on that website, you'll find a host of information about food, benefits in general, unemployment assistance, some other COVID-related information, food pantry distribution, etc. So all New Yorkers can go to nyc.gov, access NYC for supports that they may need right now.
And again, what are the current guidelines in terms of what an individual earns and a family in order to qualify for SNAP? Do you have that information offhand?
I don't have that information available, but I know that you can get that information on our website.
Okay.
Is nyc.gov HRA, nyc.gov HRA. You can also, again, go on nyc.gov access HRA and apply.
Okay, I am speaking with Marjorie Cadogan. She is the Executive Deputy Commissioner of New York City Human Resources Administration. Now, there's something I've been talking about with a lot of my guests because we're all concerned with what's going on for the future of New York City moving forward. By that, I mean the latest statistic I had today that only 14% of office workers in New York City have returned to their offices as of January 15th, only 14%. Moving forward, we don't know the answer, but it appears that many employers are going to continue to allow their employees to work from home. This raises the whole question of trickle down. What happens to the small businesses, that relied on the office workers? What happens to the restaurants, and what happens to the office buildings? And I know you don't have the answers. I'm just trying to get the discussion going,
Yeah.
because I think this is something our city is going to have to deal with after the pandemic.
Well, I agree with you. I think that work, there is a burgeoning revolution that's happening with work and how we do work by virtue of this pandemic and operating in a work from home environment for those who have worked in offices. Those who haven't worked in offices still very much have to go out to their workplace, but they have to work differently because of the pandemic. And that's creating a lot of need, as you've mentioned, for small businesses, but it's also creating this new way of thinking about, well, how do I help my employees have balance? Because now work is about life and life is about work. I think that one of the supports that the city has is the Department of Small Business Services. And I would encourage small businesses to really go on their website, which is nyc.gov SBS. They are really working diligently to provide resources to businesses right now that can help them in the form of a program called Fair Share NYC. That's a program to help small businesses be able to apply successfully for the payment protection program that's been reauthorized toward the end of last year in the last COVID relief package. Also, There are other supports that SBS provides in the form of an economic injury disaster loan, which is a grant program that provides up to $10,000 for businesses in low-income communities. So I would encourage small businesses to check into that. But also, in terms of the whole conversation about what's going to work for me now that I have employees at home, I think that's a conversation. I think that you really have to engage your employees. I know that even for us who work in city government, we're all working fairly remotely right now. And it's a conversation about what's going to work. How are we going to keep people safe? How are we going to be able to get our work done productively in a way that we can move forward? I think that all of us, the mayor and the governor included, want to find ways for us to move forward. And little by little, we have to begin that conversation. It starts employer to employee.
Thank you so much. Marjorie Cadogan, she is the Executive Deputy Commissioner of New York City Human Resources Administration. If you missed any part of this interview, you can download the iHeartRadio app. It is free. My podcast is Sunstein Sessions. These interviews live on forever, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Well, I'll see Jim virtually on Microsoft Teams, but you'll be hearing us as usual on the Jim Kerr Rock and Roll Morning Show, Q104.3.
New York's classic rock, Q104.3.